Video recorder. Okay, the video recorder is going so that we can put this up on YouTube after the show, and it'll look like it's just basically part of the show. So whenever you are ready, I will start yapping, and we'll try to make this as interesting as possible. Are you ready?
Ready.
Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Bill Zam here, and I am here with Andy Peacher. He is actually in another country on the other side of the ocean. He is in the UK, and I am here in southeast Michigan, which of course means that I am communicating with a foreign national, which also means that the NSA is recording this entire show. So I'd like to say good evening and good day to all the fine folks at the NSA headquarters. And I hope that you enjoy the show as much as the audience does. Andy, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank the Lord. I prayed very hard yesterday, and we had a very good show, because I think when the NSA likes a show, they actually leave your Skype connection alone. So yeah, for once, because every Saturday traditionally we have problems because of the nature of what we talk about. So we had a good show yesterday, and I'm very pleased to be back on your show.
Well,
this Wednesday.
Yes, very good. And the dirty little secret is, folks, for you in there in the audience, is that we pre-record this segment that we do before we go on the air on a different day, actually. Sort of a week in review sort of a thing, and commentary, because of my the medical condition that I have that's called neurocardiogenic syncope that makes my voice go away if I talk too much. So this is sort of a safety valve for us so that we can do a full 2-hour show every week. And so far it's worked out pretty good. How do you like doing this sort of off-the-air commentary that we do? How do you like doing that, Andy?
I like doing this with you, and I think in the future, because of the problems we're having with Skype connections or being interfered by the UK and the US authorities, I think pre-recording it, not just for the actual, to stop that, it's more to do with your show is a lot better, because you imagine doing a 2-hour live show, and you do research it, you do rehearse it even. It's never the same as pre-recording half and doing half live.
Yeah, it always works out better, and I've always found that I can always go cut and start over again at the beginning if I don't like the way that I'm doing it. But I think when I do these, especially when I have somebody to interact with, like yourself, it always seems to be go a lot better than when you're doing it by yourself, because you can lose track of what you're thinking of and whatnot, if you know what I mean. Do you experience that too?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, sorry. I'm just thinking. There's so much going on at the moment. It's hard to lose track of what you're talking about. But I have that same voice problem. It's not the same disease or condition, but I do. This time of the day, late afternoon, I do tend to lose my voice. So I think recording is good for the listeners, because you can have best of both worlds. You see, you can have your voice going over the air and still be live to answer any callers.
Exactly.
And you can, if you're very clever, you can always pause the recording as well.
Yes, that does require you to be clever, and I'm not sure if I am. Well, I could be that clever, but I'm not sure at this point in my life. So let's talk about a few stories here. Now, we were talking about this before we started recording this, folks, and there has been an extreme terroristic threat against the President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama. It involves cows and a clown. Apparently, there is a group of clowns in the Midwest of the United States that is attempting to assassinate the president with cows. Now, to bring you up to speed on that, you want to remember that way back in 2006, there was a movie that came out. It was called, what was it called? It was called Death of a President, in which the filmmakers filmed the assassination of our president, President Bush, by a Syrian-born gunman, and assassinated the president in the city of Chicago in October of 2007. It was all on film and everything, but they used the actual president that we had sitting at the time, and the White House at that time. The spokesman, Emily Larimore, said that the White House isn't going to comment on it because it doesn't dignify a response. And that's how grown-ups deal with stuff like that. But in this particular case, when we look at this story right here, send in the Obama clowns. This is a highly entertaining column written by David Greenfield at the Sultan Knish blog. That's sultanknish.com, or you can just look up David Greenfield in your Google search, and it will tell you all about it. Here's how the story goes. I believe it was last Saturday, at in the city of Sedlina in Missouri, where they had a very large tornado a couple of years ago. There was a rodeo, and the clown in the rodeo, what they do in the rodeos, if you've never seen one, is they have, to keep the people that are riding the bulls and the horses or doing the roping and everything, and everybody's safe, they have what they call rodeo clowns, and they attract the bulls, and the bulls come running after them, and they hide behind a partition in the middle of the rodeo ring, and the bulls can't get to them, and it keeps everybody safe. So they try to be as entertaining as possible. And what happened in this particular case is a rodeo clown wore a Barack Obama mask during his routine, and there is the photograph of the clown with the Barack Obama mask on. And the governor of Missouri stated, "The performance, which involved Obama being chased by a bull, did not reflect the values of Missourians." He did not clarify whether the other times that a rodeo clown was chased around by a bull did reflect those values. The article goes on to say that Congressman William Clay called it an ugly face of intolerance. It was unclear whether he was referring to the clown, the man whose face he was wearing, or a country where intolerant mockery of intolerable politicians is no longer tolerated. The announcer for the rodeo has also resigned as president of the Cowboys Association, even though he has yet to be caught smuggling assault rifles to Mexican drug dealers or lying about a terrorist attack on an American diplomatic facility, and may also be forced to resign as the superintendent of the school district that he is in charge of. It's comforting to learn that Obama experienced no personal danger from the rodeo clown. Even the most creative Hollywood villain would find his imagination stressed to the limit trying to recreate the Missouri State Fair as an assassination plot. But this would be the Kansas City Star's reporter Yael Abakaluka is right to remain vigilant against the threat of someone smuggling an angry bull on board Air Force One during its next jaunt to Martha's Vineyard, or hurling a furious Red Angus from a catapult into the White House. In a world where socialist is a racial slur, why can't a bull be an assassination plot? What do you think of that, Andy? Is he there? Testing.
According to the phrase, it sounds like a load of bull.
Well, you know that eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, and sometimes liberty is the price of eternal vigilance against subversive rodeo clowns. This has been a number one, above the fold, top of the newscast story for the entire week. How this rodeo clown, he has been banned for life from his job. and the Department of Justice is thinking about actually charging this guy with threats against the President of the United States. What do you think of that? It appears I might be by myself.
Wow.
Oh, there you are.
It just sounds so bizarre. It should stick to being a movie right enough.
It's left you speechless, hasn't it?
Yeah, there seems to be a time delay, Bill, and I don't know why.
Oh, okay. That could be. It could be that the NSA...
It's left me speechless. So, yeah, it seems like it should stick to being a movie rather than reality.
It is the most bizarre thing that I have ever heard of in my entire life. It is the funniest thing. A clown in a rodeo in Missouri with like 500 people sitting in the audience who wears an Obama mask, and it's some kind of a big terrorist plot. That is pure insanity, is what that is. Just that is how far this country has actually fallen in the past few years, and it kind of reminds you of the Soviet Union, doesn't it? You see, Andy is now on the...
Yeah, just a little bit. And Great Britain, of course.
He is...
We have our own problems with insanity.
Yes, Andy is actually broadcasting from the moon now, so that explains the time delay in speaking to each other.
I'm sure it's just an internet issue again, as usual.
Probably, but it'll actually make it that more entertaining because remember, a lot of broadcasters...
Do you want to recall back and see what happens?
No, we can continue doing it. I find this to be rather entertaining considering the story that we just covered. See, folks, a lot of people in the radio business, they say that silence on the air is deadly because people will start tuning away immediately. I, on the other hand, say that silence on the radio actually produces anticipation in the audience, so that they hang on your every word. And there is a couple more things in this article about the rodeo clown. And here is one quote from David Greenfield. In every totalitarian country, jokes that can't be told are told anyways in secret places between friends and to rural and working class audiences. In the Soviet Union, let me see. Actually, let me back up a little bit. In the same rodeo, a rodeo clown wore a mask of George Herbert Walker Bush, the first President Bush, and even swapped out a dummy in the same mask that the bull tore from limb to limb. The nation didn't shudder, the politicians didn't call for the clown's head, and there was no Secret Service investigation of a possible assassination by bull plot of a gang of rogue rodeo clowns. And I think that's where we will leave that story as I wait for the broadcast lag to catch up to Andy over there in the UK, and he's going to jump in here any second now and tell me some additional thoughts of what he thinks. We're just waiting for Andy to come around on the old Skype connection there. He'll be here in just a second.
Just very... Yeah, just... Sorry, Bill, I've not a lot to add, really. It's just very hilarious. I did have a bit more UK news that's very hilarious. Well, it's not quite hilarious, but it's from a long time ago. We're talking, we've got political corruption at the moment in the world. We've got evidence that this started many, many centuries ago.
And what is the the story that you have from over there in the UK.
Yeah, we've been sort of dubbed now as Britain is the worst world's mass murderer. So Britain is the worst world's mass murderer. It's from a blog by Charles. Hang on a minute. It's not a blog by Charles Manson, but the blog is World's with an S, Worst, WRORST, Mass Murderer blogspot.com.au for Australia. And it says this blog summarises the numerous episodes of genocide committed by Britain in its perfidious and ongoing ambition to maintain its imperialist grip on the indigenous world. For too long the world has been duped by the treacherous and the viperous I can't even say some of these words. Basically,
Angliosphere.
Britain is the worst in the world. And it says here in Britain, you'll see the first time that the true genocide rap street has came out. So British crimes against humanity are so vast and numerous, it has itself a task to plot the clear starting point of this most criminal of nations. For ease of reference, I will start with the British sex slave, and basically, it's a good blog. It tells you that it wasn't America, it wasn't Australia. Britain has been the nastiest mass murderers in the world, and they are today in some ways. I know it's not relevant to your comical story, but I just thought people need to know that.
Well, it actually is extremely interesting. At that website again is worldsworstmassmurderer.blogspot.com, and you can on the video side of the show, you can actually see that up on there right now, and all of the disgusting various things. A lot of countries have this sort of past as well as present, and it is something that is actually very disturbing for the average person, because you can't actually imagine an entire country doing something like that when it's not the entire country. It's various individuals within that country. But getting back to the pre-written script here that you can see up on the screen for those of you that are watching on the video side and on YouTube. Here in the United States, we are having a rather lengthy discussion about immigration, and specifically immigration from our southern border, the border that is along the Mexican border, the southern tier of states here in the United States, California, Arizona, Texas, states like that. And there is a sheriff in Arizona that is taking issue with the legislation as it is being proposed right now in the United States Senate and the Congress. And the point of this particular story is, as Ronald Reagan said during one of his very famous speeches, do you really want somebody in a far-off city making decisions for you? And this story right here is the first tidbit, the taste of our 3-week series on national security and border and immigration issues that we are going to be starting on August 28th, I believe. August 28th, August 4th, and September 11th will be the 3 shows where we are talking about national security and immigration reform and immigration issues and some of the issues that are going on here in the United States. We're going to have whistleblowers and investigative reporters on, and former high-up people in the United States government. And this is what is happening right now over here at. Let me close out a couple things there. There we go. This particular story comes from theblaze.com. That's theblaze.com. The title of this article is Senator Rubio, You Know Nothing About Our Border. Arizona Sheriff hammers immigration bill and supporters and offers a revealing picture of the border. This is by Sarah Carter, and this was written on August 13th of 2013. The main thing that you need to take away from this, and I am going to tell you about this, and Andy we'll wait for Andy with his comments. In 1984, Cochise County, which is along the southern U.S. border in Arizona, the state of Arizona, had 50 Customs and Border Patrol agents working along 83 miles of border. It's only 83 miles long. Today, it has increased to 1,500 Customs and Immigration officers. And they still can't stop the drug cartels from moving at will over the border. 1,500 federal agents along an 83-mile border, and they still can't stop it. The county sheriff's name is Mark Daniels, and he doesn't mince words. He is angry that local law enforcement and the citizens who call the southwest border home have been left out of the decision-making process when it comes to security and immigration reform. And I'm sure that the UK also has that sort of a problem with the people that are making the laws in Parliament not listening to the input of the citizens that they're supposed to be representing. And I want to get Andy's input on that. So we're going to wait for Andy, who's on the moon right now, to chime in after the delay takes place between the two of us. So we're just going to go ahead and wait, and I will go ahead and maybe play some kind of a little sound effect or some music or something, and we'll just go ahead and, well, we'll play this. And Andy will be chiming in at any moment.
I love the sound effect. It's really brilliant. Yeah, the Mexican border problem with the USA, it's been there forever. And you're quite right. What the governments in the US and the UK are doing, they're making these silly policies. The biggest problem is the policies never work. But the people on the ground, such as the immigration or the border security, going up and down the Mexico border, the same with England, Scotland and Wales, if only the government or the policymakers listen to the workforce, the people on the ground, because they would suggest A, B, C, and D, and that would probably work. Because over here, you know, the problem's the government and the policy. You know, the immigration can work if they listen to people who are actually policing it every day, but they're not listening. And I've always chuckled a little bit that the Mexican-US border is so long. And I know it would be because countries are big, but we have, over in Europe, big borders. And there's not half the problem with immigration and drugs and whatever. So I'm under the impression that these 1,500 officers along that border, they're probably having a very good holiday in a good paid job, and they don't want to get shot by the Mexican drug smugglers, so they're probably getting drunk with them, having a few bits of spliff, and just letting them pass. Because if that amount of people over 80 miles can't stop this happening, then we might as well give up now and give the world to the crazy and to the drug barons and to the criminals. There's something wrong there, you know, because years ago, I remember, and I don't know if you said it, but it took a lot less people to maintain that particular border crossing. And, you know, in this modern day and age, with Big Brother and the cameras and helicopters and whatever, surely it's got to be something corrupt that's going on between the officials on them border crossings to allow this to carry on. It's got to be something hooky, as they say. Bill?
Yes, definitely. This story is, it's, as I said, this is the a little teaser, a taste of what we are going to be having coming up on August 28th, September 4th, and September 11th. On August 28th, we are going to have an ICE immigration and security, a guy that actually worked on the border. He is a whistleblower, and he is going to be on this show. He has written a book, and as the show comes closer, we will have all kinds of links and everything to his book and tell you who his name is. I'm not going to tell you quite yet because it's sort of a surprise, and it appears that, yes, we have definitely lost Andy, which is too bad. You can hear the Skype thing going on in the background there as Skype attempts to get Andy back, and apparently it is having problems getting him back. But I am going to continue on with the show, and we'll see if Andy comes back here in just a second. See, when you start talking about things like that, this is exactly what happens. You get cut off. You get cut off when you're talking to the person. And Andy is writing me a message right now, awaiting reconnection, as am I. So, and it appears that he may be back. Nope, he is not back. The internet connection has totally and completely failed us at this particular time. Let me actually just go ahead and continue on with the show unabated, because this last part may actually be fairly entertaining. Let me stop the recorder.